হ্যালো, আসসালামু আলাইকুম, সবাইকে স্বাগতম জানাচ্ছি আমাদের আজকের অনুষ্ঠানে। It's your host, CoachKamrul Hasan, as usual. Uh, as long as we are adding value from CKH Network, as you know, our mission and objective is educate, empower, and enlighten the youths of Bangladesh. আমরা কাজ করছি বাংলাদেশের তরুণদের জন্য। আমরা চাই বাংলাদেশের তরুণ সমাজ দক্ষ হয়ে গড়ে উঠুক এবং তারা যেন যোগ্য হয়ে গড়ে উঠুক। তারা যেন দেশে কে সেবা করতে পারে এবং ভ্যালু অ্যাড করতে পারে তাদের নিজের জীবনে, এট দ্য সেম টাইম আদার্স লাইফ অ্যাজ ওয়েল। সো এই লক্ষ্যে আমরা কাজ করছি। আর আমাদের এই প্রোগ্রামটা আমরা পার্টনারিং করছি উইথ আওয়ার কো-পার্টনার অ্যান্ড co-host of this program is Key Leadership Institute from South Africa, and two of the co-founders are always with us into this program, and they are Ian Roberts and Arthi Moore, as you know. So let's welcome them. They both the wonderful human being. So Ian and Arthi, or Arthi and Ian.
Assalamu alaikum, namaste, hello everybody.
Salam everybody, wonderful to be here again. As usual, it's wonderful to collaborate with CoachKamrul Hasan's network and helpfully empower and encourage the youth of Bangladesh in different ways. So that's always exciting. So thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure, and as we all know that we are passing a very difficult time all over the world, not only in Bangladesh but also all over the world. So now entrepreneurship is, I think, the driving force of the economy and the life as well. And I think in the coming days it's going to be more and more and more, because if we are coming up with the entrepreneurship, I think these initiatives going to save life, going to save the humanity, going to save the economy, and moving us forward. So only the entrepreneurship can do that. And yes, human being is a part of it, definitely. So who wants to become entrepreneur? So I'm asking all of these participants. So please give us your comments if you want to become an entrepreneur, or if you're seriously considering the entrepreneurship. As you know, this program is all about the entrepreneurship and giving the entrepreneurial mindset. And today, one of the most important thing of the entrepreneurship, it's actually be it entrepreneurship or be it, you're going to work for an organization. It doesn't matter, both the same. Finding your why you want to do what you want to do. So I want to begin with Arthi. Ladies first. Ladies first. So what's your why, and how did you find your why when you began your entrepreneurship journey in 22 years back, probably, and how would you want to help our young kids?
I think one of the most important thing for me was I received advice from somebody who said that you deserve the best. Nothing less, nothing more. You deserve the best. Now, I never could understand what they meant by that, but it was something that I continuously thought about. And by looking at what I deserved, I started to look at how I'm going to get what I deserved. So once I worked out that my best was a life of freedom, of travel, of photography, of gourmet food, challenging myself. I loved reading. I loved experiencing different things in a very unique way. I started to realize all of the things that was fun for me and that made me feel very excited about life. So I looked at what I was passionate about. And one of the things that I came to realize is that on my journey, one of the most amazing parts was something I did not expect. And it was developing a talent or a gift to connect with people and help them to find themselves personally in terms of where they're heading. And then I worked out how to guide and support them better. And so my why started from things I wanted to do and achieve, and it became a calling and a purpose for me. I found that it was a continuous development. I never stopped developing my why, but I know very strongly why I walk this earth. And that is to impact the lives of every single person I interact with and make them feel like they are valued, like they are seen, and like they exist. And the way I do it and how I do it is through my words, through my actions, through uplifting people, and through gentle words of kindness and encouragement. So for me, my why is something very simple. It is my ability to touch human beings on the level of their humanness and make them feel respected. And so that last 22 years as an entrepreneur was finding ways that I could impact them, but in physical ways, helping them to create their goals, find their visions, develop themselves, develop their self-confidence and their self-esteem, and just be more encouraging in that way.
Fantastic. So I want to ask everybody who are watching right now, I'm sure that you know why you are here. At least you know where you're here watching with us. so so that is the first why I want to ask you. I think if you know, say yes. At least why you are here watching this episode, right? So that's the first question. The second question is, have you ever tried to know why you came on this earth and planet, and why is that? So I'm asking all of you, say yes or say the comment, whatever you want to share. And then I want to go to Jan Roberts. As I know, Jan, you are very, you have seasoned knowledge and expertise into the why. I think Simon Sinek and people like you are actually leading the way. So give us the, brief introduction and guide us through why we should have our why. And how could we found our why as well?
Yes, and and it's true. Simon Sinek is somebody I follow passionately because he's a man of many wisdoms. And if you have never seen it yet, Finding Your Why is still one of his most watched YouTube videos ever. And that gives you a basic knowledge about the explanation of it. But you already mentioned something very important, Kamrul, that, we're all here on this earth for a reason. And I actually just did a Facebook Live a little while ago, and in that I actually said there is 2 days that are very important for every person on this earth. The first one is the day you were born, and the second one is the day you discover why. Because it is too many people, and if you look at the older generations especially, and that's not a mistake or not to say, well, they did it wrong, they just did what they had to do. And they followed. Even in my generation, of course, they already said, you need to go to school, you need to get good grades because then you have a job for life. And that was so many years ago. But I mean, if this period has not been proved that it's never going to be like this again, then I don't know what will. But I think the young people of today, they deserve more. They deserve better because we cannot feed them the same story. And at that time, like 50, 60 years ago, it was the right story. But people were working in the car factories, they were working in the mines, they were working everything and everything is changing. So to then say at this moment still have the same story that may definitely go to school, definitely get good grades, but the education you really need most is the education to become the best you can be, and it starts with personal development. So you don't go through life like a lot of older generation people, our parents. Well, I've got a slightly different example, which I will tell you about later. But I mean, our parents and in my age also, a lot of people who are the same age as me, they existing in life, they go through life, but they have a job that they probably don't like. They or do a job that they don't necessarily like, but they feel they're stuck with it. And I want the younger generation to be, they are already freer, they've got more choices. But the more choices we've got, the danger is that we don't know which direction to take anymore. If you have only a choice of 2 cars, you have 50-50. But if you've got a choice of 20 cars, all of them might be, and it's too difficult to make a choice. And I think that's also happening. And with all the changes, it becomes more important that we find out what our passion really is, that we discover from inside who we are and what we want in life. And then we need to do everything we can to follow that direction. So we know that our lives matter, not only to us, but if we are happy, if we are fulfilled, if we have significance in our life, then we surely spread it around the people around us.
Right. So it gives us sense. The question I asked initially to begin with this to everybody, actually, it's like, I know that you know why you are here. And lot of us only know. But what I want to ask you, are you going to materialize? Are you going to bring it out from inside, that you know something that, yeah, I have a cause, I have a feeling is there. They fail. But my question is, are you bringing it out? Are you bringing it out? I'm asking everybody. You can say yes or no, or you can say, how you're doing it, or what is your why. So let us share about it, and we'll continue this insightful discussion, because this is something I believe that, as Ian rightly said, that the 2 days is most important in our life. One is the day we born, and the day we actually getting to see why. And actually, I want to mention that is actually walking into the path of why. A lot of people may discover, or they don't want to, or they don't start walking towards the journey. So Arthi, so how they can actually, begin the journey, and then Jan, as usual, continue the conversation as well.
I'll follow
And
up.
add the value. Yeah.
Well, what was interesting is when you guys were talking about finding your why, I've always had a very different perspective of it. And one of the things I found is asking people what defines them. And so I know that Jan is going to talk about that quite a lot. But one of the things that when I interact with people, whenever I greet them, I will ask them how they are, how their day has been, strangers, even with networking or conferencing sessions. But my next question I always ask them is, what is your passion? Because I don't want to know what they do. I want to know what they're passionate about. And I'm finding that when we have a conversation with people about what they're passionate about, suddenly you see their eyes light up and they become excited. And they want to talk about what makes their soul sing. And so when you ask somebody about their job or what are they doing, they'll say, I'm a student, or I'm a housewife, or I'm unemployed, or I work in this job. They'll give you the title of what they do, but they don't tell you the depth of who they are. And then for me, that is the most powerful thing you can do, is ask yourself, how would you introduce yourself to somebody? When they ask you your name and tell me a bit about yourself, are you going to tell them the title, or you're going to tell them about what you're passionate about? Because if you asked my 13-year-old, he'll tell you that he's passionate about discovering amazing things. It's about gaming. It's all about the fun stuff. He's not going to say, I'm a child or I'm a student. He'll tell you about what he's passionate about. And when I'm interacting with people and they ask me, what are you passionate about? I'll be able to talk about skydiving and bungee jumping and horse riding and photography. So it's all my passion, but it is not something that is defining me in terms of a title. It's talking to what makes me feel excited, because when you can work out what makes you feel excited in terms of your passion and your purpose, then you've got a reason to jump out of bed with excitement. You find that your whole energy changes. And when you find that you start to tap into that potential, suddenly the whole world is unlimited. So the discussion that the two of you are having about finding your why is important, because you're going to help and guide people to those points. But one of the areas that when we're looking at what we're passionate about is, what purpose does that fulfill? So if I love food and I love music and I love photography, what purpose does that passion fulfill in my life to touch other people's lives? How do I help to guide and support them in their journey? And what is important for me is taking photographs of beautiful food and experiences encourages other people to step up in what they will allow within themselves, what they will eat, what they will accept, what they will do differently. So now I'm talking to fitness, I'm talking to health, I'm talking to areas of improvement, I'm talking about what you deserve. Are you just happy with what you have, or do you believe you deserve that gourmet experience? If you are used to always just eating in the same way, look at your belief systems. Do you prevent yourself from going to beautiful restaurants because you believe that you don't deserve to spend that kind of money on yourself, on an experience? And so if I look at my passion and my purpose and my why, it is to to make sure that every single moment is a memory that is worth having in my life, and that fills the gaps between the birth and the death part. So when I decide to leave this earth, I will know that I use my passion and my purpose to create the most exquisite experiences for myself, but at the same time inspire other people to do the same. Because when they see that, they suddenly realize, well, I can take photographs of the sunset and the sunrise, and I can then see it as hope. Now that wasn't the original purpose, but it became an intentional thing that then grew into my why. Now I will purposefully and with intention take photographs and do write-ups that's motivational. So it's finding out what is your purpose and then linking it to what are you passionate about? How does it support you in finding your why? And I think that with Jan's explanations of the who are you is going to make a lot of sense to what defines who you are as a human being.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, people also often ask, I know I'm passionate. I know I have some passion, but how do I actually, materialize it? What do you want to say, Jan? Everybody feels that they're passionate about something, but they end up doing something else.
Yes. And of course, it's a shame, really, that so many feel, even though first of all, they have a passion and they don't know what the passion is. And secondly, some of them know the passion, but they don't follow it because they feel obliged for whatever reason to do something else. Because they've been studying and now they've got a good degree or whatever, and they need to be lawyers, even though they actually don't like being lawyers, but they follow the trend in their families, and their passion is something totally different. So either way, it is not productive, really, and not healthy for the human being either. Because if you wake up every morning excited about life and about the things you're going to do today, it makes such a difference to your immune system, to your health, to anything around you as well. And that is very important. So to find it is sometimes the biggest challenge for people. Because, as you said as well, some people know there must be something different than this. There must be more to life than what I'm doing now, but I just haven't got a clue why, or what to do exactly to get there, or how to even go about it. And that is not necessarily something that you all of a sudden wake up and you ping, I know it. No, it's a journey you've got to take, a journey you've got to follow from, what if you look back in your life so far, because we're all at a certain point right now, that is but all our journeys have been different so far. And if you look at your life so far and find out some of the best stories in your life, from as far away you can remember to right now, the best stories in your life, and also some of the worst stories in your life. And you see because those have got the most emotion attached to them. So if you find maybe 5 to 10 stories in your life that are positive or negative, and you write them all, just write a line. What was that story? I mean, I got my degree, and and just a simple line of what reminds you of the story, and then you can go back to it later on. But that's one of the first steps. And then afterwards, you grade them from is it a story that just happened, so maybe 0 to 1, or you go from 1 to 5 plus, and from 1 to 5 minus. So some stories that will be near the top 5, number 5. So you put them all on a little chart where you think they are, and some I for example can have one where it became a dear friend of mine passed away at a very early age, 22 years old. Now that was for me, that was one of the worst stories ever, and so that came to the -5 level. But the emotions that involved, and then other ones that really are really positive, they come near the top 5. So eventually you've got a few stories, and then you actually look at them and say, now why are these so important to me? And you look at the emotions, because I think your emotions actually govern a lot of the passion you have. Why was I so emotional? Why were they so important to me? And then you feel it evoked emotions in me that really mattered. So so there is a little bit of work that needs to be done, but that's one of the areas that we need to start thinking of. What has been important in my life so far, both negative and positive, and on a scale of 1 to 5, negative and positive, where are they? And that is really the start to find out on an emotional side, on a passionate side, because that comes from within. What have I been passionate about so far? Because at the younger ages, during the ages, you don't think about it so much. But when you look back and say, that's why, whether it was your wedding, whether it was on the negative side, the funeral, whether it was you passed your exams, somebody in your family got married, but whatever it is, these are all the stories that really help you. And that's where the real start of your journey should be.
Correct. So I often tell people like this, and if you are really passionate or something, and you're not looking into the money, and also you're not tired about doing the things, so that means that it's giving you the satisfaction, and then you keep doing the same thing, most probably, without considering the monetization or the direct result at this current. So how would you want to define this? So this is kind of feeling, right? This is kind of feeling. Yeah, I feel it, and I do it for my own satisfaction. I do it for my personal satisfaction level, my fulfillment level. So Arti, so our young generation often they say that this generation is often they're driven by their passion, because why I tell it, because when I see them, they are into the computer, they're into the games, they're into the something so passionately, days after days after days, right? So how do you want? I mean, what do you want to say to them? To bring this out to the world from the, sometimes we call them addiction, sometimes we call them passion, and how do you want to guide them?
See, I would draw a very clear line between addiction and passion, because addiction has a negative connotation, whereas passion means that you're following something that makes you happy, makes you fulfilled. Normally, addiction gives you an after effect that has got negative effects on your life and people around you, and it's not always good. So when you look at passion and people who are passionate about spending hours, that's totally different to having passion, purpose, or having intention. So if you think about it, they're just passionate about their video games and sitting on the gaming consoles. I would say that if they have that ability to be so passionate about the gaming environment, then take a step back and look at, if that makes me happy, what can I do to add value to other people and share that passion, that passionate side of me? That then can become something that is more purposeful in the way that they game. I think for a lot of people, just gaming for the sake of gaming could be the moments where they are filling the gaps of laziness, of complacency, of I don't want to think, I just want to be. It's of entitlement, and it's of I've just rolled over and died, sitting where I am, and I don't care. And that can become a very dangerous place to be. But if you can realize that this is a moment of something that is something I'm passionate about, like my son, I can talk about that from experience. He's passionate about gaming. But what I've done is I've asked him, with that passion for gaming, what can you do and how can you add value to other people because of it? And what he's doing is he's then signed up for learning how to do coding and software development and gaming. So what he's doing is he's upskilling himself by understanding what he's passionate about. He's upskilling himself so that he can take that and create a purpose out of it. Now what he's doing is creating a purpose-filled life, not just one of sitting and just playing games. Because anytime you walk past him, you will have the gaming stuff on, but it is then linked to social media and how he's building a following to inspire and guide people. Now, a lot of people will not understand how the gaming side can add value to people. But what he's done is he's tapped into a group of youngsters at that age, between the ages of 10 and 20, who are gaming. But a lot of the guys and girls actually suffer from depression. Now, he's a very compassionate, kind, thoughtful child. So his heart bleeds for everything and every animal that gets hurt. What he's done is he's taken his love for gaming, into producing things that helps to and guides people to build their self-confidence. He then teaches them affirmations and teaches them things through the gaming platforms. And because he's building his ability to become a person of influence through it. So if you are just sitting there and watching games or playing games, there's nothing wrong with it. But you can now take that, make a decision, and create a choice for yourself of how will your life be seen to other people? How will you impact other people because of it? Will you be seen as somebody who just sat and lazy and did nothing with your life, lived off your parents and everybody else around you? You did not contribute to society, or you felt sorry for yourself? Or are you going to do something about it and say, how can I help to grow? Where does self-development fit in here? How can I use that platform to become an entrepreneur and make money from it? Now what you're doing is you're taking your passion, you're then creating purpose for it, and that's going to add value to your why. So every day when I sit down and I open up that Xbox or that PSP or whichever gaming platform, and as I begin to play this game, I must have some purpose and intention and understand what is the bigger picture behind all of this.
Right. Yeah. And how you can help somebody? Let's say somebody asking and coming to you. So I'm passionate about it. Now, how can I bring it out? How can I how can I convert my passion into my profession, or how can I connect with my purpose? How would you want to guide them?
Yeah, well, that's always a great question, because that is something not everybody asks, but a lot of people think it at any age. And I think, first of all, I think often it is very helpful to have somebody else involved in that journey. You can find out the basics yourself, but eventually, if you have somebody at the outside looking in, because you know yourself very well, and if you get somebody else to help you along, to not necessarily your closest friends because they know you too well, but somebody who's willing to spend some time with you to go through the stories I mentioned, through some of the information that you can provide, and somebody else they can try to pinpoint the areas that they can see that you're passionate about, and then you can have a discussion with them, which is far easier, because we've always known that we're better together rather than separately. So to find somebody else who's willing to walk that journey with you and start a discussion about this, and the ideas even before you begin that complete journey, already start writing down the things that you think would really bring meaning to your life, and not only just now. And when you talk about doing something for the rest of your life, and I think it was Les Brown who said it quite a while ago. He said, if you do something that you're willing to do for free because you're so passionate about it, but you do it so well, eventually people are willing to pay you for it. Now that is kind of passion, because you said as well, money is not a passion. Money is just a tool. And if people, like in entrepreneurship as well, we're talking entrepreneurship here as well. If you only want to become an entrepreneur because you think it's about the money, then the first or second time that things don't go too well, you quit. But it's your passion. If you're passionate about what you want to do, then when things go down, your passion will carry you through. That's why, even especially as an entrepreneur, it's even more important that you connect with your passion. Now, you might not necessarily have the full passion developed as you do the entrepreneurial journey, but as it comes, it's like a bit of an airplane. You go slightly off, and the autopilot brings you back. Now here as well, once you go in a direction, if you need to move slightly, Arthur always says as well, you're not a tree, you can move. So you can move slightly, and this can be a journey that you develop. It's not set in stone, but I can guarantee if you've lived some years already, you can probably find out what this real passion is, and the real things that burn inside of you, a burning desire, even something that you would do, and it would mean the world to you. Something that when you look back, there's a little book called The Dash, and the dash is basically from the day you were born, then you've got a dash, and then you've got the day you die. Now that dash, and they talk about that bit in the middle that is so important. And I think we've been talking about significance before, which also comes into play. When you find your passion, when you find your purpose, you will find significance. And significance has nothing to do with money. it doesn't make you don't become any more significant because you make a lot of money. And Mother Teresa had no money, but she was very significant. So it's about who you become on the journey and who you impact on that journey. And it starts somewhere. Where do you start? Start writing down the things you really love in your life, the things that you have experienced that you love in your life. Start writing down some stuff. And once you have that and start that journey, get somebody involved who will be able to discuss this with you from the outside in. And together you will really come to a point where, again, in the end, it doesn't have to be set in stone, but you're going to be a lot closer. And that is a life worth living. Not just going through life and existing. No, we need to live it. We all owe it to ourselves and everybody around us to be the best we can be.
So life of significance is much more important than life of accomplishing so many materialistic stuff, right? So that might be possible into having maybe through a lot of earning, acquisitions, something like this. So life of significance. So somebody who's really passionate about it, somebody knows why he's doing it, can achieve the significance, isn't it, Arthi? So somebody, and then again, people, why they don't follow the significance, the path. So what actually holding them back? What do you think? Because people say, I would love to, but I don't have money. I would love to do it, but how can I actually live my life?
Well, it's an excellent question, and I think that when we talk about significance, people are mistaking it with money. What Jan said is very true. Money is a tool, and you must have an environment that feels comfortable and makes you feel amazing. If you want that beautiful car and that beautiful home, I don't see why not. If you want to wear beautiful clothes, I don't see why not. I believe that money is a tool to be used wisely and with respect. But when it comes to significance, what it is the daily choices we make every single day in our thoughtfulness, our kindness, in the way, in actions that we choose to take, in the things that we decide that we will be. It's in our very being that actually talks about our significance. How many people did we influence today without it costing us much? If we can use data to stream Facebook and YouTube and watch stupid things, we could use the same data to send motivational videos to people, watch motivational videos, and then adjust the way we speak life into people. How we help to bring hope and we help to bring happiness to somebody's life. How we encourage them that they can have a better life because of it. That's a life of significance. It's your ability to impact other people, and it does not have to cost you money. And if you do have money and you choose a life of significance where you add value to people by building homes and you build infrastructure that helps to guide them and support them in their journey, if you build schools and clinics, what you're doing is a life of significance in uplifting people, taking them out of poverty. You're taking them, you're giving them education. You're giving them the ability to be in an environment that is nurturing. There's nothing stopping you from using the power of your words to become a person of significance and influence. There's the difference, is that regardless of how much money you have, whether you're a student, whether you're unemployed, or you're just a housewife, I will keep saying it. You are a person of significance in your everyday life. When you get up in the morning before everybody, you make sure they've got a hot cup of tea, coffee, breakfast. You make sure that you do your best to help them to have a life that is fulfilled. You guide and support people, even if you don't know how. You make a plan. If people ask you a question, you don't give them a rash answer and you don't put them down. You don't belittle people and use sarcasm. What you do is you use thoughtfulness, you research, you ask around, and then you add value in the way you speak to the person and the way you answer them. If you want to become a person of significance, it'll be in the way you use the power of your words and the thoughtfulness of your actions to touch the lives of anybody, anywhere, anytime, whether it's a tiny person or whether it's an animal. It does not matter how much money you have. You have the ability to choose a life of significance in that way.
Correct. So you are from the country where one of the greatest human being on earth, I think, ever produced, the
Mandela.
Madiba, right? The Nelson Mandela. We all know about him. So how can you define the purpose of Nelson Mandela and how he has overcome in his life? Like how you want to connect this, his passion, his sufferings, and then what he has turned into this for the nation.
I actually was talking to Yen about this the other day. I met him and I had the privilege of speaking to him. I asked him one question, and that was, I've never shared this with anybody, but I asked him a simple question, and I said to him, and I asked him, what is the one thing that you can give to me, one word that will help people to resolve all of the hatred and the anger in this world? And the simplicity of his answer was forgiveness. And when I think about it in my life's journey, as I took those words into me, forgiveness will begin with forgiveness for self, forgiveness for the circumstances you are in, forgiveness for the environment that you find yourself in, forgiveness for what little you have or how much you have. It is to take that forgiveness and embody it in the way we interact with people and how we respect and honor people. And when we take that word forgiveness into all parts of our lives, we realize that our purpose on this life, in this lifetime, as we walk this journey on this earth, it is to touch the lives of every single person, regardless of their gender. We can resolve a lot of world issues and hatred and gender-based violence based on forgiveness. Forgive the history and the pasts of our governments and the people who came before us, who actually destroyed and created hatred in the hearts and the lives of people through their words and their actions and the need for domination and control. Nelson Mandela looked to the heart to touch people's lives. He looked at how he could use the love and the caring and the thoughtfulness of heart and forgiveness to move people and mindsets on a mass level, not just in South Africa, but around the world. And some of the
Correct.
words that he always speaks about is that you are beautiful and you are fabulous. Who are you not to embrace that?
So when you spoke to Nelson Mandela, Arti, so what have you noticed in his eyes while he was speaking about the forgiveness? Because he was suffering. He has suffered 40 years in the Robben Island, right? So alone, and when he's talking about the forgiveness, what did you see in his eyes?
Like, you're not going to believe this because that's exactly what I said to Jan. As I looked into his eyes, he had this blue rings around his eyes, identical to my grandmother. When I looked at her eyes and when I looked into his eyes, I saw the exact same thing. It was enlightenment and it was peace. That is all that was. It was enlightenment and peace. Because when you look into the eyes of somebody who has suffered and who has come through so much, but will still sacrifice all of who they are to help to move people through their words, regardless of how people react or respond to it. And as I looked at him, there were tears in his eyes as he spoke to me. And, for me, that was huge because he took the time to make me feel like I existed. And I think that is more powerful than anything anybody can say. When you're looking for your why and your purpose and your vision and where you're heading in life, for me personally, I feel that to make somebody feel seen and exist like they exist in your life is the most powerful thing you can do because you empower them to realize that they're worth it as human beings. And that gives them the strength that they need to step up in their lives into the roles of what they can become and to embark on that journey of self-discovery. And if we don't do that, there are people who go through these lives feeling worthless, I'm not worthy, and will always attract abusive relationships to themselves. They will attract work and business environments that's not conducive to their own growth. They will just settle for anything. But when you know who you are, when you know your purpose and your vision and your why, you stand tall and you're confident in your being. And that energy actually enables you to entice other people. And I think
Correct.
that's a powerful thing to embody in our lives.
So I'm coming to Jan. So you have met, I think, many legendary people in your life, including, you often talk about Les Brown, of course, John Maxwell, and this subject matter expert himself is. So in your lifetime, you met somebody and you have found the why that person is doing what. So what did you learn and what did you understand from their life? As Arthi was talking about, she met the Nelson Mandela, and she has asked. So what is particularly your experience about meeting somebody and knowing the why he's doing, and how profound it is?
Yeah, and that is already a great question and a great ending as well, because profound it surely is, and that's one thing you notice. There is no hiding it. When people live their why, you can see it, you can feel it, and when you're close to them, you actually experience it full out, because they radiate a total different kind of happiness, if you like, but a totally different kind of energy. And that energy is a few levels up from most people, a lot of levels up for some people who are very negative. But I mean, you can tell it their voice sings. You can tell it in the way they talk. You can tell it in the way they look and the way they walk. As I said as well, walking tall and walk with a certain stature. That's not arrogance. It's just that when you love what you do, you don't have to slouch through life because you need to go to the job again. So there is the whole aura of the person is very different. And we've all walked into a room sometime and we feel that something had happened and you don't know exactly what, but something had happened. There's people who say, everybody lights up a room. Some people when they come in, and other people when they leave, and be the first kind. I mean, when you actually have that feeling, it's that kind of feeling that you can't really put your finger on it, but you know there is something different about the person. And people like Les Brown and people like Nick Vujicic and John Maxwell and all these kind of people, but also people in your communities will have that, because it doesn't have to be somebody of the biggest stages of the world. It could be your next door neighbor. It could be somebody in your family who does what they really want to do. And when you mentioned earlier on as well, that's people saying, yeah, but I cannot because I have no money. I can say right from the start, if you tell me that you cannot do what you want to do because you've got no money, it's an excuse. And the reason I say that is I've got a little story for you right from here. We are working with a small group of youngsters, about 20 of them between the age of 18 and 32. And they started a program called Help a Learner Become a Student. Yeah, that way down, yeah. And they contacted me via LinkedIn. And they're in some of the impoverished areas in Johannesburg. And we went to meet them, and we actually spoke last year at the Youth Day, the 16th of June, in a big conference on their behalf, on their stage. And we started working with them, and they were telling us, we want to change our youth today. But we were promised money by the government, and they never gave it us. But they said, we cannot wait. We're going to do it anyway. And this is, I get inspired by ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And these youngsters, they really touched me. And so what they did was they contacted 20 schools in the informal areas. And in the schools, we were going to bring the values-based leadership, a program which will really transform the whole country. But they wanted that program. We trained them. We did some trainings with them in a library in one of these areas. And they went to 20 schools, and most of them they walked to. Not just 1 kilometer, no, many kilometers, 15, 20 kilometers. They walked because they had no money for taxis. So they went to connect to these schools, and in every school they were going to start the transformation of the school, the development of the school from the basic standpoint of foundation of values. And they were. The story is longer, but we started with one school just before the lockdown. But this would not only every school would have at least 1,000 pupils. The one we were in would actually have nearly 2,000 pupils, but at least 1,000 pupils. That's 20,000 pupils, and they were also connecting the communities around them. So we don't know how many people eventually that will touch, but with nothing. They started, they went ahead, and they put a process in place that by the time we come out of lockdown again, this will be a continuation of youngsters, not older people, because not a lot of older people who have money, they talk and they do nothing. They had no money, they did everything. So it was their passion speaking. And when passion speaks, you will be compelled to go with it if this is something that speaks to your heart, because passion speaks heart to heart. It's not mind to mind anymore. So when you do that, and in entrepreneurship you need it as well. We already said this, but to say that you need money, no, there is intentional living and having significance. All these kind of things. There is actually billionaires who died and they were miserable when they died. And there is people who have had a lot of poverty, that their funerals had thousands of people there because they made such a difference in the communities they lived in. So it is a wrong outlook if you think, I need money before I do anything. No, you need to do something before you make money. It's the same as motivation. People say you need motivation to get, I wish something would motivate me to go and do something. No, start doing something. And eventually, if you really like it that much, you get motivated to do more of the same and grow yourself that way. And motivation comes from within anyway. The inspiration comes from within. So if you go and do it, then you will get inspired. But you need to start somewhere. And starting with money is not the yes, sometimes it helps a little bit, but it's by no means a showstopper if you have no money. Begin. See, it's better, done is better than perfect. And you don't need to be great to get started, but you need to get started to get great. And if you want to become a great entrepreneur, you're better to get started somewhere.
Absolutely. So while this is so you don't have to be great to begin, but you have to begin to become a great. So it's applicable for any industry you're talking about. It's not only the entrepreneurship, be it a sportsman, be it athlete. So Arthi, have you ever came across anybody beyond the I know you talked about the Nelson Mandela. So I'm talking about any sportsman. I know your country has produced Hensi Cronje, and I also think people like them. So they are so legendary people. So my question is, I know that to become an entrepreneur, purpose driven, knowing the why, so it is something they would do something which would not harm to the society. They would not do adulteration, they would not do the cheating, or they would not try to accumulate money over a short time. Rather, they want to add value. Let's talk about something beyond the entrepreneurship you came across, and what's their why, and why they do it, and how they do it, and if you have seen only.
I love that question, because as the two of you are talking, it actually triggered for me quite a number of examples. But because you're talking about an athlete, I'll talk about one person specifically. It was Chad Leclos. He was a young guy who was born in Durban, my hometown where I was born in. And what he did was, when he won world championships in swimming, he became very well known. So what I found is that he used his earnings and his fame to create a life of significance for underprivileged kids who did not know how to swim. Now, in this country, when you look at the apartheid era and racism and the impact it had for people following on some of the historical decrees and laws, a lot of people were prevented from going to the beach fronts and things like that, which means you've got generations of people who are living with anger and fear that they cannot swim. They live in fear of being drowned. People who are previously disadvantaged, and this is a major issue for people. And when you look at it, what he did was he wanted to right the wrongs and to bring in swimming lessons and to encourage people who were previously disadvantaged to understand that they too can have that opportunity and that option, since we've got a new government and since all of those laws were changed, that people didn't have to live in fear in the old belief system. So what he did was he used his skill, his gift, his talent to then inspire and support people on their journey. So he actually got a lot of people to learn how to swim and become, and then go into the rural areas and into informal areas, and to open up pools and places for them to have access and to learn how to swim. That built so much in terms of forgiveness, because here he was of the culture where the previous government had prevented and caused a lot of this in people's eyes. Right now, with their new system, new government, access to everything, they still held the old beliefs. So his journey to significance in my eyes was that he chose his talent to add value to other people through uplifting them and challenging their mindsets. In the same time, using his skill to actually create a legacy of people who never would have thought it possible, but then they built their confidence by using and watching what he did and learning from his skills. And then the other ones that I would use as an example are ladies. So I deal with a lot of women who've come from abusive backgrounds. And what they've done is they never had opportunities in their environment to grow, to become entrepreneurs, or to do anything. And so I realized that part of this group that I joined encouraged women and said, what is your gift? What is your talent? What can you do differently? And so what's come out of it is that there were a group of ladies who could bake quite a lot in the communities, but they never made money out of it. And it took somebody to step up and say, I've got entrepreneurial skills. I've got leadership skills. I also have connections and networks. What they did was they got all of these ladies together to start to create their recipes, to share ideas, to create a community where they would brainstorm and connect with each other at that level of their passion. And what they did is they did the same thing with clothes. They did it with beadwork, and they did it with different cooking styles. What came out of it is that it was a whole lot of people who had a passion and a vision, but they did not have direction. And all they did was they found somebody who wanted to live a life of significance and add value to other people, who understood the value of legacy. And by sharing knowledge and skills and expertise, they found the money, they found the equipment, they found the buildings, and they found the support from corporates and government funds to help them on their journey. But they had to start somewhere. They had to understand what is their purpose. They no longer had the story of it was an environment and where I grew up. It was no longer that I am a person who's abused. Now they're looking at what is my purpose and how can I use that to add value to other women in that situation. And then they did this for men. And that's the most powerful part, is they started to collaborate with the very people they were unhappy with. And when they did that together, there was a different healing process. So when we talk about finding your why, it does not have to be, I've got to go and create something impressive and go and create a building. It could be the simplicity of you guiding and supporting people to know their worth through your guidance and your support. It's sharing of knowledge. It's sharing of skills. But you got to know where you're heading for somebody to actually help you. And you got to speak up and you've got to step up, because complacency gets us nowhere.
Correct. So we got a wonderful comment from Gunter Wallendorf, right? So if you can have the comment, Gunter Wallendorf, right? I think so. I must be pronouncing the name, wrongly. Forgive me for that. When you ask the right questions of yourself, the answer will guide you to your why. When you understand your why, you will know why you are here. Is that not we all are trying to understand? Yeah, absolutely. So right question to right answer. So, but this has got to have some, we got to have some skill to ask the right question to ourselves. So yes, Gunter, I think you got it correct. We are trying to understand it. And that's the biggest challenge, I believe, at the same time. So quick comments on that, Ian. So, and then we can close for tonight, asking the right questions to ourselves. How often we do that?
Well, not often enough. That's a quick answer. In fact, most people don't ask questions of themselves at all, which is really worse, because we always look outside ourselves for the answer. But if we're going to, all three of us are coaches. And I think if at some point it is always a good idea to get somebody else to ask the right questions of us. So if you, for example, came to me and you say, I really want to find my passion because I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't like what I'm doing. I'm disappointed. I'm always negative. I don't feel well. And I thought, if I can really find out what really is inside of me, but quite often it's a coach that will help you bring it out, because yes, you can start asking yourself questions and they get better over time. But sometimes you might speed up the process a little bit by hiring or getting somebody to ask questions of you. And a coach is a great, because we're all professionally trained. But I mean, at least if you cannot afford anything like that, somebody else to ask you questions about what is important to you. And I think when we can do that, and then maybe we can also start asking ourselves better questions. And when we do, we can pay it forward and start asking good questions of other people to help bring it out in them too. Because we want to do this, we want to go on this journey together. It's much better together.
Absolutely, it's because often we are not able to understand our core, our values, or what really we want out of our life. If somebody come and tap the shoulder, hey man, you're doing really good, I think that gives us courage and confidence. Oh, really? I didn't know, because often we are not aware about what we are doing. And if it has been recognized and somebody tapping the shoulder or giving, fantastic, just man, keep doing it, I think that gives us more deep-rooted connection to our work. And thus it gives us the fuel to level up and the propel to the next level. And then I think once we are into the rolling, I think then we get going. When we get going, we are unstoppable. But that's the job of a mentor and coaches, to become unstoppable. That's the objective, be it an entrepreneurship, be it in anything that you want to be, you want to become. And that's the first question we started: who you are, who you want to become in next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Do you really know? How often I ask the same question truly to youths and whom I met: what do you want to become? Tell me exactly that you would like to be this kind of person 20 years. People often cannot tell exactly what they want. So that's why I think one of the greatest talk on this earth by Simon Sinek that got so much popularity. And later on he said, it's a shame for me that my work has got demand. And because this is the most basic thing, he said, but it's just because there is a demand, people are not understanding it. That's why, I have to do it. And the same thing, we'll have to do it, because people are not often asking the same question, the basic questions for the connecting to their own life. I think this is not about the entrepreneurship, but we are going to begin a program. Those who want to begin their entrepreneurship journey, or they would like to know the entrepreneurship, or not yet decided, maybe thinking they can join this program. This is 5 pillars of entrepreneurship. And one of the lesson is finding your why. We're going to give you the structured lessons in 5 different areas, each area having 3 core values. That means 3 into 5, 15 lessons, 15 videos, and then Q&A, and then group coaching, and then the expert guidance. So things like this, we're going to give you the course structure. So watch it out if you really want to nourish your entrepreneurial mindset. Even if it is not, you don't want to become an entrepreneur, that's okay. Be in your mind as an enterprising. Even if you're working, you need to take the ownership, because you're selling your values, you're selling your labor, and you're getting exchange. So that's an entrepreneurship also, because how value your work. So we're going to begin this course in collaboration with Key Leadership Institute, and Ian and Arthi both are seasoned professionals, seasoned entrepreneur, and seasoned coach. And we are bringing this out for you. So thank you for tonight, for giving us the time and being with us. Our last 1 hour, 45 seconds left. Next 30 seconds, Arthi, to close it.
I just wanted to thank you so much, and for everybody that's on the call. I think one of the things that would be really incredible to do is to just sit down and think about all of the things that's amazing and incredible about who you are. Look at how you could use that to add value to other people. Don't think so hard that you feel frustrated. Just be gentle with the process. Go and look up. There's a lot of information about how to find your why, and then just follow the process. And then come and join us on the 5 pillars of entrepreneurship. Somebody asked, what's the 5 pillars? The 5 pillars is self-development, personal growth, money and mindset, leadership, and entrepreneurship. So what this was one of the lessons that we do touch on in a lot more deeper level. And then just from our side, we just want to say thank you very much to everybody, and we wish you an amazing journey in finding your why, your purpose, and the value that you bring into this earth. Know that you're worthy and you are worth it. And based on that, you will understand that you need to actually grow. And because of that growth, you add value to people in that way.
Thank you so much. You'll be getting to know, all of you that are watching right now, the structure of the course, and we'll be giving you within this week, within next 7 days. So we'll be putting it out on the daylight. So the structures, the call, so what it looks like and how you can take part into it, and what it's gonna be in the next 2 months or 3 months. So it's a structured lessons, and I'm really excited to bring this out first time in collaboration with the foreigners, the experts, and we'll be bringing the local expertise as well. Those are watching, okay, so they are in South Africa, one is having the white skin. So how can you know the Bangladesh business? So don't worry. We'll bring the local expertise into the panel, right? Because people think, okay. Yeah. We'll bring the local expertise into the panel. We have segment as well to do the research, to do the case studies, and to answer the local aspect. So together, we're going to add value to your life to bring the entrepreneurial mindset. That's the key. Once your mind is entrepreneur, it's about to begin. Anything you touch, you become the entrepreneur. It's just like a gold. Aladdin's lamp. So our mind is just like Aladdin's lamp. So just need to fuel it a bit. Hey, so thanks for watching, and thank you for being with us. It's been a pleasure. We are trying to, as we are trying for the youths of the nation to educate, enlighten, and empower. Why? Is because that youth is going to drive the nation crazy in the next 10 years. Our nation, what has been achieved so far in the last 50 years, in the next 10 years, we are going to achieve double and triple of that. Why I said that? What's the why? The why is because we're going to get the demographic dividend in the next 10 years, because 70% is youth. And the next 10 years is the time. So that's why last 50 years, whatever we have achieved from the 1970s till date, we're going to achieve double, triple in the next 10 years. That's my belief. And that's why, we are here together, and we want to build your why next 10 years time. Thank you, gentlemen and women. And those who are watching, if you don't have any woman, wait, you will get woman if you become an entrepreneur. So be that enterprising mind itself, and wait for right moment to have a woman. With a good business and entrepreneurial mindset tonight ending. Thank you so much. Stay well.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.